Right, Adewale Adebayo joins us next, the presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
It's a pleasure. Good morning.
How is your campaign going on at the moment?
Well, we are doing we're in it. We're all over the place. We're going all over the place with different places.
What kind of feedback are you getting? Because, I mean,
people are understanding the message. People are expecting us to do more, but they are getting the message.
Do more in terms of what?
Do more in terms of outreach. People always say, why have you not come to us before? Why is this message not getting to us earlier than now? So people are understanding it. People know that we're speaking, that the action is on the left side of the divide, that we need to do more social investment. We need to make sure that we have infrastructure. We need to eradicate poverty, which is a goal we must set for ourselves. And we need to make investments. And the behavior of those who come to power must reflect those priorities. And we are pointing to them that those things can be done, and the resources are available in the country, and that the idea that you can have a country that is insecure and has that the government itself will admit that 133 million of people are in extreme poverty, worse than when Abiola 30 years ago said we should do farewell to poverty under the SDP. So they are expecting us to come and explain to them, and they are beginning to believe that these things are possible.
What kind of conversation goes on in your strategy room? Because you've gone out there, you've seen your other candidates who are there, how some of them have been in government for like forever, depending on which party, and they just keep interchanging. They don't want to shield or yield any ground whatsoever. They've got the deep pocket. Some may even deploy state resources. So in terms of your realistic chances, how optimistic are you? Because many will look and say, look, how are you going to upstage these other candidates, as it were?
It's a matter of the mind. Whatever arsenal that they've put together, the whole thing is targeted at confusing people. And our job is to convince people. So once we get to the people before them, or get to the people immediately after them, as long as the conversation that is coming to the people is not from only one side. So because if you just lie supine and say, well, I don't have all the arsenal, I cannot put 30 adverts in 1 hour in different media spaces. But you can reach people. You can get people to talk to people. We reach people in their organic places. Anywhere people are gathered, we go there and talk to them. So you try to be asymmetric in the approach, because what you want to do, in addition to that, is that we're trying to run away from the same default position where you go and start looking for people with deep pockets to come and start helping you to push your campain. Because if you do that,
you need funds to prosecute elections.
You need funds, but you need legitimate funds and you need moderate funding. We must change our politics if we want to change our governance. And if you don't change our governance, we cannot change the state of the country. So you must start from there. You don't want to be captured, because people know that if you're running a national election, shortly before midway, you are going to start looking for resources. So they position themselves. And those resources don't come without conditions, without conditioning your mind, without making you drop issues. People tell you, oh, don't talk about abolition of poverty. Say you want to ameliorate poverty.
Which is what you've spoken about several times.
Yeah.
You say it will take you, at least 18 months to create 30 million jobs?
I can tell you that. You see, if your aim is to create jobs that are easily creatable jobs. Remember now that we are campaigning. It's easy for a politician to create jobs for printers, for campaign organizers. They didn't take forever to do that. So when people...
Is that the kind of jobs you were
I was speaking with a retired general who was one of those who ran the Nigerian army. And I was able to tell him, how is it possible that between 66 and 67, you were able to double and triple the size of the army? And now we have a long-range war for 10 years, a long-running war, and they haven't decided to do that because they decided to invest the money in defense contractors who will say, I supply this esoteric thing or the other. They didn't want to use that to expand the workforce in the army, absorb more poor people into the force, train them to be useful to their country, put them in supply and transport, put them in different places, and pay wages. No, they rather give 50 billion naira contract to one person to supply something we don't ever see whether they supply it and things like that. So it's a matter of priority. The same thing with the construction, with other things that you do. You want to make sure that you do in such a way that you break the work and give people work. It's not difficult.
Don't they have a point these days? Because at that time, yeah, you could need a lot more manpower. But these days, it's about technology and how you deploy. So what a battalion can do, technology could even triple that.
The tragedy of that is that we have neither the manpower nor the technology. So the issue is that we only have the money flying away. So what you do, even in the U.S. Army, this year, they had a shortage of recruits. They were even trying to recruit more than the people who showed up. So you can be more sophisticated when it comes to killing machines than the US, but they are still looking for manpower. And the reason why you do these things is that you want to keep your people engaged. The surest passport out of poverty is employment. Next to that is people discovering themselves, creating something out of their talent. What the government should stimulate. What the government is stimulating now is the taste of people who have taste for luxurious items. They are stimulating people who want to earn a lot of money because of their relationship with people who are in position. So this is what we need to
how did you decide on, how did you come to that conclusion that it will take you 18 months to create 30 million jobs, and in what sectors?
Okay, first, you will, in the security sector, go and talk to service chiefs. They will tell you that they have a manpower problem. If you look at the officer-troops ratio, Nigeria is skewed in favor of having more officers than troops. So you can tell somebody, Brigadier General, how many people under him? Major General, how many people under him? So you want to recruit more into the forces. It will take a lot. We are under police.
So how long is it going to take to recruit?
How long does it take to recruit? My uncles joined the army. They were marching up and down. In 3 months, they were wearing uniform. And they're all jumping all over the place. It doesn't take forever.
So you factor in recruitment, the training, the employment,
all of that. That's for that sector.
3 months.
3 months they'll be in the depot. Then another 3 months they take them for staff training, other things, regimental training, and they are already absorbed. It doesn't take much.
So that's a section of the 30 million jobs you're talking about?
Yes, because you put in security area. There is even some other security area sectors, like the vigilantes that have been so useful in the Northeast. Some of them are very useful in the Northwest now. If you integrate them, you know the Southwest now, they're having their Amatekun. How long did it take them to do the Amatekun? In 3 months, they all had them all over the place, wearing the red thing and going all over the place. So what you want to do is to make it more organized and federally funded. Next to that is that because you have security now, you can now start investing in agriculture. Almost everybody. I've done agricultural investment. You can turn, when I set up my plantation, oil palm plantation, we were going to the Catholic church, going around picking housewives. Within a short time, they knew how to handle basic implement to manage agriculture. So agriculture, if you go to Southern Kaduna, Plateau, all those areas, it doesn't take people more than 6 weeks to learn how to plant ginger. They already have the basic knowledge. It's just for you to invest in it. If you go to Niger State, Kebbi, and you want to invest in rice, they know rice farming. You only need to teach them modern methods of managing the paddy and all of that. So if you do these programs like that, now patching roads, though the community gave me an award for just talking to them last year. That, okay, why don't you just eradicate all the potholes in this town and darkness at night? How do we do it? Okay, they put me in charge. Now we're patching roads. Young people who used to just lazy around now are patching roads all over. So maybe by Christmas or next year when you go to Ondo, you drive all over the place, there's no pothole. So there will be no darkness anywhere. So things can easily be done. So they are not talking of jobs. Later, when you start to industrialize and do other things, the people will migrate.
Are you going to industrialize within 18 months?
No, you can't. What I'm saying is that you absorb people into easy-to-do job, agro-ally, infrastructure. Look at Lagos, look at Abuja, Kaduna.
So they're largely temporary jobs? Because
these are jobs that can last them like 7, 8, 10 years. But the important is that they are working and they are in the tax bracket. And then the next layer of what you want to do is now to stabilize industries. I'll give you an example without taking too much of your time. In Southern Kaduna today, if you aggregate roughly all the ginger that they produce, it's around $60 to $80 million. But if you bring a press, ginger press in, and they start crushing the ginger and taking the ginger oil, the same community that produce ginger and wash it and you cut it away, will start pressing the ginger and they will be able to make up to $1.2 billion from the same ginger. So you can do it. It's not that
how long is that going to take? And how many jobs are you targeting for that sector?
If you break the sector into 10 sectors, you will easily create 3 million jobs from each sector. For example, Jakande, I don't know, I was growing up in Lagos, you see that Jakande, I was just see Jakande Estate popping all over the place. If you break 100,000 houses in every state in Nigeria, 100,000 houses only, I'm a builder. If you build 100,000 houses, to build a typical house, typical building, you will need about 10, 20 workers. 100,000 houses in each state simultaneously being built. You know, Shagari, and we'll have Dosumu do that program.
But for the ginger,
yes,
they're going to plant, isn't it?
Ginger is not. It doesn't take long for ginger to grow. And there are so many other crops. So is it that they have this equipment already, or we're going to import them? This is what happens now. Maybe I shouldn't be promoting the business here, so you don't go and do it. You see, what you do is that there are planters, there are lands. Typically, you buy the seedlings, then they go and plant, just like you're planting yam. It's a root kind of plant. I'm just using ginger as an example. There are other products that can plant. So, if you invest, if you say there's a government program that says, if you want to plant ginger, just go to this particular store in your local government, sign your name. They will train you for 2 weeks, whatever, because it's very easy to do. They will give you the thing, you go and plant it, then they record your name, as the thing is growing, then they will buy off taker. The government will buy it from you, or an agency will buy it from you, they will press it. It's not that difficult. That's how I started my oil palm plantation. It's a very large plantation now, almost 600 hectares. There's nothing complicated there. But you just have to get people to have things to do in the immediate environment. The problem with our employment is that it requires you to leave Ughelli and travel to Port Harcourt or travel to Abuja. You have to give Ughelli people job in Ughelli. Manufacturing people job in manufacturing. So when you are doing Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, all the people in Arepo, all those areas, they don't know what you are doing. But in the past, you know that TM Aloko used to be chief engineer in Western Nigeria. They will section the job. The Lagos-Ibadan road will be sectioned. So people in the Ijebu-Ode community, the iron rod, all those, they will supply from that area. That's how it used to be done. Exercise book, things like that. So what we are saying is that the problem with this model is that the elite now are used to having friends in government and getting 1 trillion naira contract, 500 billion naira contract. They're not used to a system where works are planned in such a way that you create. Look at when free education was introduced in the West.
I was just trying to understand your thinking when you gave it 18 months. Because, I mean, you know that you're going to work with different states. They all may not respond to you with the same speed at the same time. So there are processes. So when
no, it doesn't depend on them. I'm talking about federal programs. The states should do their own. For example,
but there's still bureaucracies in federal structure.
No, I'm the bureaucracy. I'm the president, for God's sake.
But you're not.
I'll give you a tag.
You still have agencies that you work with.
When the agencies, even the agencies we have now, with due respect, are faster than the presidency. Go anywhere. I'm not just criticizing them. If you go to an agency, they will tell you we're waiting for approval from above. It rarely happens that it is the other way. So you have to make the presidency very fast, very lean, very effective. So not people just fanning around you and helping you to chase people on the street. No, you actually have everybody who is an advisor is actually advising. So do you know the sector? Let me give an example. When they started free education, the free education program, that's why you have Onward Press, Listening Press, all sorts of press. It didn't take long for these presses to be set up. What you do is that they know that government is investing in this area. Government wants to produce exercise books for children, textbooks for children. So they set up the presses. And they have contracts with them. You produce 1 million exercise books for this amount, things like that. So people make investment in those areas. And at that time, the central bank, all these agencies, were industrial bank, they were all reflecting on that. What I'm letting you know is that a rent-seeking economy, which we have set up for ourselves, is assuming that you can make money without producing anything. And if you don't produce anything, you cannot engage people. In addition to that, out of the 30 million jobs, I was in Washington, D.C., in a big ceremony with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, where I agreed with them that some of the jobs, which I used to help them all over the world to export to different parts of the world, that some of them can be brought to Nigeria. So you have people coming here working in call centers for foreign companies, coming here to do textile work, coming here to do basic medical supply systems. For example, If you sign up with 5 companies in Minnesota to allow you to come here and be handling medical records, you will employ almost 200,000 people whose job is just handling medical records, even though the medical delivery is not here. But you are housing medical records system here. It can be done. So it is not all the job that is traditional. Some of the jobs just to be in the value chain of global commerce. They don't come here because of the basic problem of they don't even know who they are going to talk to. So that's the idea. The idea is that you cannot say you want to eradicate poverty by letting people lie down and you don't get them engaged. And there are many areas. For example, the green belt that they are doing. If you convert it, you will see that you get carbon credit by making people plant trees. When I went to Ondo and I was talking to my people, I said, let's plant 1 million trees every year. Yeah, they said, what are you doing with trees? We don't need trees. I told them, if you plant trees, there is international carbon credit for planting trees. You will invest in it. So people are now beginning to do such things. So a government has to do that in an aggregated way.
We've listened to your ideas, and I'm just wondering one way you get funding for it. For instance, you talked about the people who are repairing roads and trying to fix electricity in Ondo State. I don't know whether it's electricity or just...
Yeah, electricity, just street lights.
Okay, so how are they getting paid for that? I'm just a little curious.
Okay, what we did was to tax ourselves. That's for them, because there's no government power. So we raise the fund, and because efficiently managed is working. So at the government level, funding is not our problem. Accountability for the funding is the problem. You know that I don't want to repeat that here.
You tax yourselves to pay the people?
Yes. We tax ourselves to pay the people. It was a fundraising done, and we paid the people, and it's done. We're working on that. In about 2 or 3 years, you go to Odo, you will not see that, you will not see Porto.
Okay, so that's...
But what I'm letting you know that if it can be done at that volunteer level, at the government level, if you just stop 80% of the crude oil that is being stolen, that one they are not denying anymore. When I was saying they used to hide and deny it, if you capture the money you are losing in gas, if you capture the money you are losing in waivers and all of those, you have a budget deficit of 10 trillion, but you've written away 16 trillion in waivers for a few companies. You don't do such things. So if you manage that, if you let people stop stealing solid minerals, I can say to many people they are stealing lithium in Abuja here, and I have evidence, I have everything. I even wrote to mining inspectorate to say, look, these people here don't have anything, they are stealing lithium here. Nobody has answered. So if you capture all of that together...
You reported that to the police?
To the police, to the mining inspectorate that is supposed to make Nigeria very wealthy. I responded to them, sent the video, even saw the video, foreigners, Nigerians, all combined. No response yet. So what I'm letting you know is
How did you know they were stealing it?
Because...
What did they have licenses?
They don't, because I have the acreage, and I see them coming there. So what a patriotic citizen should do is that if you have an acreage, and people come on your land and they start stealing minerals, because they are stealing the wealth of the people and people are getting poor, you tell the police and tell the government that these people are stealing here.
The acreage is yours, and that lithium is in that acreage.
Exactly, and it's nearby here. And they are stealing in Nasarawa here, they are stealing in Zamfara, they are stealing gold in Osun. What I'm bringing together is that I went to Focados the other time when they were saying, about a month ago, I was on the water for 4 hours. I went to Focados, I went everywhere. I saw all the ship with their ballast laden with oil. Everybody started telling me stories. I have videos. So the issue is that we have money. There's no problem about that at all. We have money. So it's just to divert this money from going overseas, where people go and get a small cut in some foreign account, to social investment in the people.
So, you've answered the money question.
Yes.
Your platform, SDP, reminiscent of the days of MKO, Abiola.
Yes.
Your son is in the race, by the way.
Yes.
Do you share the same ideas?
No, ideology is not inherited like wealth. You can't inherit your father's ideology. You can inherit his face, you can inherit his wealth. But I think...
You're a little to the left. You're about
also when I listen to...
socialist and welfarist.
When I also listen to Mr. Abiola Kola, I think it makes sense. Maybe he should have been on our side, but where he is PRP is also not a bad place at all, because ideologically...
you said that you would have wanted to merge with the PRP.
We wanted to... PRP, Labour, when it was Labour, before it is now something else.
Labour Party is no longer Labour Party?
Oh, no. Labour is just a branch of PDP now. So maybe later, after this election, they'll go back to where they're supposed to belong. But maybe they made a compromise. That's their choice. But so these parties, what defines our interest is that there are two ways to prosperity through the people, or what Americans call trickle down. You let the rich people take all the money, and out of benevolence or something, they are going to create something. It has never happened anywhere before. So what we are trying to do is to say, if you can make Nigeria rich by abolishing poverty, which is not difficult, you have only 5 windows to abolish poverty. You must give people nutrition so that your economic condition does not affect your ability to feed and have good nutrition and raise children with good IQ.
How long is that going to take to abolish poverty for you?
To abolish poverty within 2 budgets. Because a hungry person stop being hungry when you give them
2 budgets.
2 budgets.
2 years.
2 budgets. Yeah. Why? Because let me say something. Why are people poor? Let me explain to you why people are poor. People are not poor because they don't have billions in their account. People are poor because when they wake up in the morning, they can't have good food or food at all. They don't have good housing. They don't have access to medical care.
All right.
They don't have access to education. Tell me, which of these components cannot be made available in 2 years? It's not difficult.
All right. Mr. Adebola Adebayo is the presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party. Thank you for coming on. And as always, we'd like to wish you all the best.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.